Hi, this is Thomas Guerra and welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be a full coverage of the upcoming Mordor expansion. Now, first of all, there are a number of features that are not in this beta build yet. First of all, there are no epic quests. They won't spoil that until the official release of the updates that will include the Mordor expansion on the official servers. Also, there is no PvMP gear in this update. It remains to be seen if this is going to be introduced with upcoming updates. And also important is the fact that there are no new instances. There is no instance cluster in this beta build yet, and I have heard rumors that the instance cluster is not going to be introduced in the initial release of the Mordor expansion and only in a next update. So I don't know, I haven't heard any confirmation of that yet, but it seems like that might be the case. Chance Thomas's music is also not in this beta build, so we have not had a chance to listen to that yet. It's also quite likely that they're going to save that for the official release on the official servers. What else is not something that we can play yet is the new race. We are going to receive a new race, being the High Elf. And this is the High Elf. This is the male High Elf. This is the female High Elf. In terms of classes, it is the exact same pool of classes as the regular elf race, except now we will also be able to play a captain. I do not have any information on what kind of racial traits they have or what their story is or the deal with this new race, but I hope it's going to be a little more than just a bag of LotRO points that you pay to be able to play an elf captain. Anyway, back to my characters here. There are updated character models. At this point it seems like only the female of the race of man has been finished. You see her idle stance is completely different as it used to be. At the initial release of the Mordor expansion, only two races will have been revamped. That is the race of man and the race of elves. At this point in the beta, in the first beta build, it seems like only the female of the race of men is somewhat finished. This is what she looks like in the ultra graphic settings. This is the male. They're right now busy working on the male, so yeah, I'm interested to see what he'll look like once it's finished. Also, everything in this video and in this current beta build is subject to change. A lot may still change. There is a lot about this character model, even the female, that may still change before it is released. So yeah, a lot of things. There are a lot of landscape glitches, there are a lot of bugs, loot tables still need to be updated, there's some optimization to be done. That is normal in a beta build, but in like the greater lines we can pretty much assume that a lot of the features in this beta build is representative of the release, the actual release on the official servers. As far as the elves go, it doesn't seem like the elves have received any updates just yet. It seems exactly the same at this point. So also what hasn't been scaled are the featured instances. I mean, they have been scaled in the sense that you can run them at a level 115 and they are very challenging. But the loot that you get, the rewards, are still level 105 rewards. It may be that these are to be updated in the future, but I'm not sure if featured instances will be the way to gear up for endgame. More about that in this video, so let's jump right into it. Standing Stone Games has done a magnificent job with giving each of the 5 different maps of Mordor its own identity and its own individual look. It's actually worthwhile to just go around Mordor on your war steed and just look at how the different regions are designed, because they're all very beautiful. The first region you go into is Udun, and that's very industrious, and then there is Lingris, where you have all the beautiful views. The area around Mount Doom is full of areas with lava and its own mobs and all of that stuff. And then the area around Barad-dûr and Saragost look like they actually have daylight. There is no ashes from Mount Doom that cover the sky there. So it's absolutely a job well done from Standing Stones. Right now I am in Udun, which is the first region of Mordor. This is an area that is very industrialized and has a lot going on. The first thing you will notice when you go into Mordor is that you have an extra bar underneath your vitals. This shows Light of Eärendil, Shadow of Mordor, and Effective Shadow. Shadow of Mordor is a debuff that's on your character. It gives you minus 5% incoming healing plus 10% incoming damage, minus 5% outgoing damage. The way you counter this shadow, as I right now have 20 Shadow of Mordor on me, is by slotting gear that gives you Light of Eärendil. And Light of Eärendil is a statistic that is new in your list. You find it right here in defense. This has no explanation, but I'll explain it to you. The way it works is if you have 10 Light of Eärendil, you will counter 10 Shadow of Mordor. So right now I have 20 Shadow of Mordor. If I had 10 Light of Eärendil, my effective shadow would have been 10. And instead of this debuff, I would have had this debuff. See, as you march deeper into Mordor, you get more shadow. The more dangerous the area of Mordor you're in, the bigger the shadow. And it is especially the incoming damage that has a huge effect on you. Earlier, I was questing and I was in a solo instance where I had 60 plus 60% incoming damage and it destroyed me. Even with all my fancy endgame gear from level 105, I was absolutely destroyed. So having Light of Eärendil is going to be quite imperative in Mordor. And the gear, you can pick it up from barterers left and right as you quest through Mordor. But it's going to be very important and definitely important to even sacrifice your fantastic endgame gear of level 105 for that gear. Now the other things aside from incoming damage are maybe not that important. Minus 5% incoming healing sounds important. But understand that, or let's go to the area I have minus 10%, that's right here. My incoming healing is 5% because I belong to the race of men. If I look here, it is 4.5%. So that 10% is actually 10% of the percentage that you already have. If I go a little more to the back where I only have 10 effective shadow, it is 4.8 because it's only 5% of the 5% that is detracted. So not a lot really goes away from it. It's actually quite fine in that sense. And the same with outgoing damage. If I go to my physical mastery, you see my outgoing damage here is 293. If I go here, it's 298.6. So that's not a massive difference. It is really that incoming damage that is everything about the shadow. So getting Light of Eärendil on your gear is going to be very important. Now know that the landscape mobs here in Mordor, they hit incredibly hard. Incredibly hard in the sense that it's doable if you are as geared out as I am, as geared out as most people are, but they hit just incredibly hard. Look at how this guy has already brought down there's a bit of lag because there's a lot of people nearby. Like he just attacked me and he has actually visibly taken my health down, which is quite rare for a character that's as geared out as I am. So here's another thing that is really important to note with the Mordor update. Aside from this shadow, there is something else that's completely new. Old gear sets have been given actually a maximum level. So you know how hunters always used Erebor Fleetness set? That Erebor Fleetness set has a max level. So if I look here, this is actually Erebor Bowmaster, but it's the same thing, it's just the other one. Has maximum level 95, so you can no longer use it. Same counts for all the Orthanc gear, the Isengard gear that the captains used. I believe champions also had a set that they could use. The Aurochs set for hunters has also been made irrelevant as it received a level 75 maximum level. So that can no longer be used either. However, what can be used are certain swappy pieces that give you a temporary buff. For instance, this right here can still be used, and I think that is good. I don't really see a reason why you would remove that. It's not that huge, that big of a deal. It's only a swappy. You'll swap back to the regular 115 gear as soon as you reach level cap anyway, but it's very important to keep that in mind. There's a lot to say about hunters, but I won't go into too much detail in this video. I'll keep it very general. The developers from Standing Stone Games have explained that in the Mordor expansion you can pledge your allegiance to either hobbits, dwarves, men or elves, as they will try to claim rule over this new region of Mordor that now has no leader anymore, or at least that's what I believe was the way that they explained it. However, I have not really found any clues of that just yet. It may be that this is an endgame feature specifically. Right now, the way Mordor plays is that you just pick up quests just as usual and you move through the landscape from region to region, as you just do quests for the Gondorians that you find around you. So the next new feature that was described in the patch notes were new options at the Barber. So let's go check that out. This is the first time for me as I check this out. He does look a bit different. Now he suddenly kind of does look a bit different if I just take off my helmet right now. It seems like he looks different here than he does at the Barber. This is a different guy. Let's look a little further. Well, let's keep his note ahead the way it is. What? Okay, hairstyle. Still pretty much the same hairstyles. Well, let's get something. Yeah, seems good enough. Oh, okay. Still the same eyes. Let me get a little closer. There seems to be nothing about the eyes that they've done. This is the male model. I don't think the male model has been finished. Eyebrows are still the same. So I think the Barber shows different models. Look, this is a different look at the forehead. It's completely different. Just the face in general. Wow. Mouth. This is still no new options just yet. See, they're busy working on the male. But yeah, this seems like it's very much still a work in progress. This face doesn't fit on its head just right, so yeah, they're still working on this. What if I randomized? Anyway, that's beta, and it's definitely very much still being worked on, it seems. So one very important topic with this Mordor expansion is your stats, your statistics, because the scaling has completely changed everything. Right now, if you look at my character, you see he has ridiculous numbers for, well, critical rating, for finesse, for resistance, for mitigations, and this is actually just about normal numbers. What you see right there are just about normal numbers because the caps have been increased to huge numbers. The mitigation cap for light classes at tier 1 is 55,000. For medium classes, it's around 62,000. For heavy classes, it's around 70,000. And I have tested this, so it's empirically that I found this out. The critical rating cap is actually, I believe, 75,000, so I'm not quite there yet. There you see I'm 0.3% off. However, there are diminishing returns, that's what it's called. So if you have 30,000 critical rating, you're already very far. Finesse, there you can see what 48,000 finesse actually gives you. It's not that much. In terms of mastery, it's just been, this is like a normal scaling for mastery, but it's especially critical rating, finesse, mitigations that have been changed completely. By the way, you can see how I have 310 Light of Eärendil, which is an absolute huge amount. I am right now wearing the absolute best gear that I could get from an NPC in the Eärendil Tavern. The Eärendil Tavern is like a place where you can get everything for your character, and they've given us some of the Mordor gear. You see everything is still very much placeholder in terms of icon. It has no cosmetic assigned to it just yet. In terms of name as well, I'll get into that a little later. But the thing is, I have loads of Light of Eärendil because I'm wearing the best armor, and you can see that in terms of shadow, strictly taken, this place right here has 40 shadow, but because I have 310 Light of Eärendil, effective shadow is absolutely nowhere. The problem, or the issue, or something that you'll absolutely have to take into account, is the fact that the scaling of your statistics gets adjusted from level 106 onwards. So the problem with that is that if you have a gear that is fully geared out at level 105, you reach critical rating cap, you're at 30% critical rating if you have plus 5% traded, and you go to level 106, suddenly you're dropped from 30% to 21% critical rating. And that's pretty bad, because if you're a hunter, you're fully dependent on your critical rating for, on one hand, your focus game, and on the other hand for the activation of the essence of the powerful draw buff. So your critical rating gets absolutely decimated. So I would probably look into the idea of temporarily disabling XP by getting that pocket from store. There we go. Experience disabler is 100 LotRO points. If you get that thing, you could maybe make sure that you quest and do content in the first regions of Mordor. Make sure that you get enough to start bartering for your first pieces of Light of Eärendil, and make sure that you slot a bit of Light of Eärendil to that way counter your lack in stats, to make sure that you can actually counter the shadow before you move onward. Because if you have both crippled statistics, like very, very crippled statistics, and you have a lot of effective shadow on you, you're not going to make it in Mordor. So it sounds very weird to work with an experienced disabler, and I have not really done it myself, but I'll definitely look into maybe doing that as soon as the update goes live and there is no other option for me, that nothing changes about this build. Then I would probably look into staying at level 105, so I have the full effect of my statistics. Make sure that I can barter some pieces that give me Light of Eärendil, and only then move on to next levels with unavoidably crippled statistics. However, there is some more stuff that changes, and that is the fact that the end game gear at this point that is being offered to us in this beta build has absolutely no set bonuses. I have found no gear anywhere, and there's a lot of gear being thrown around that has any set bonuses. So I believe that is just a continuation of this idea of Standing Stone Games giving maximum levels to old gear sets, so that the old set bonuses can be used, and that they just did the same for new pieces of gear, that they just said, oh, you know what, we're just not going to give any set bonuses at all, because it's just problems. So none of this gear has actual set bonuses. What else you can notice is the fact that there are a lot less essence slots. So it seems like there is a lot more emphasis on the gear itself and a lot less on the essence that goes into it. I have no idea how to get these essences, by the way. I still have to look into it. I may make a second video where I have more information, but it does seem like the gear itself has a lot more emphasis to it. What else is, it's also, there is a new crafting tier. And there is a lot of stuff that we will be able to craft ourselves. So if I look at heavy armor, you see there's a lot of heavy armor that we will be able to craft. The thing is, yeah, by the way, the critical success has not been updated yet. There's a lot that still needs to be done. The thing is, this is gear that says level 115, and I was hoping that we could get gear that has Light of Eärendil at lower level that we can craft ourselves, so that we can prepare ourselves better for questing in Mordor. Because I don't know if just halting your experience and doing some content will give you enough maybe barter items or whatever to actually get gear that has Light of Eärendil. So I was hoping that through crafting we could get more, that we could actually work with it. But yeah, Light of Eärendil is on almost all of the gear that you find around here. Anyway, you can see that these essences are absolutely super powerful. Let me give you an overall overview of the different essences. So here you see the different essences that I have found of level 115. I do not know if these are even the best. I mean, there's so much gear that is being thrown around at level 115, and I'm not sure what is actually level 115 and what is going to be below that, because as I said, there's a lot that needs to still be optimized and fixed in this update, and I hope there's going to be a lot more that's available below level 115, otherwise questing around in Mordor will be a big issue. So I'll close this now. In terms of statistics, you can see the order of statistics that we are talking about here is so different from level 105, and that means that the contribution of virtues by the way have been increased to 20 instead of 19, Yeah, you can see it here because this is a character that I made here, but the maximum virtue level is 20 now instead of 19, but still the contributions of, or the importance of virtues has been completely decimated, so much less because of the order of defensive stats that we're talking about here. So many mitigations and resistance that you already have. It's just, and morale as well, by the way, it's just so very, very different. So that's just going to lose a lot of importance. Another thing that will lose importance, relatively speaking, is tomes of the different stat tomes. I mean, tomes of agility, might, fate, will, vitality. They will lose importance as well because the scaling has been increased massively. However, for hunters, and I'm a hunter man, I'm just quickly going to throw it out there, maybe the tome of fate will become a little more important than the tome of agility. The reason why is that the contributions, the stat contributions of agility have been scaled up massively into oblivion. You know, even if mastery has just been like pretty much doubled, I believe. But fate gives you this power regen, which is so very important for hunters, and that has pretty much stayed the same. The power regen contribution of one fate at level 105 is the same as at level 115. The power cost is still in the same order. The power cost of your skills, the maximum power, it's all still pretty much in the same order. So since hunter gear will give you fate that will automatically boost you beyond 3000 fate if you have the absolute best gear, and I don't know how long it will take before you get that, but you will receive so much fate and so much power regen that if this 570 points of fate that you can throw on top of that will still have a very tangible impact on your power regen and you know, how fast you run out of power in combat. For hunters, by the way, power will become less of a problem. I'm not saying it's not going to be a problem anymore, just less. Definitely also, since that power costs legacy of your focus bow skills, you can push that further now because all the legacies of all the classes, by the way, have been increased from 59 max level to 69 max level. So things like the power costs of hunters can be pushed a lot further, which has a very tangible impact. Everything can be pushed further, by the way. However, when it comes down to the focus cost of hunters, because you cannot use the set bonus, the set bonus of the Eärendil fleetness set, I mean, the focus is still going to be very much of an issue. And I think in that sense, hunter are going to have focus issues, whereas runekeepers are still pretty much, they play the same. I don't think any parameters or any balance kind of changes for them. And I think in that sense, and definitely because runekeepers kind of tend to scale a little better than hunters, I think red runekeepers are going to be overtaking blue hunters in overall DPS numbers in raiding situations. That's just a hunch I have, but I think that is going to be the case. There are two more aspects about gearing in the new context that I want to give you. First of all, you will have the ability to barter for relics for your legendary item that are absolutely packed with statistics. If you have gaps in your statistics, this is a great way to fill up those gaps. You can see how much finesse this setting gives me, for instance. Another thing that's important is that the way you get health, and I have a lot of max health, by the way, and this is not even 55,000 is not even all that much to Mordor standards. And the way you get morale is through vitality. There is no more morale essences. So, and also the gear is full of vitality, it's not full of morale. So I'm actually slotting vitality essences to get some extra health here. In this case, I'm not sure if that's the way to go, but anyway, it's what I did here. But you see that there is a lot of vitality in those essences, and the vitality contributions have been recently in an update that we've had on the live servers as well. They have all been increased. So you can see that for runekeepers, the morale contribution of 1 vitality point is 4 morale. It used to be 3, now it's 4. So that's great in my opinion, because that means that your out of combat morale regen is also absolutely huge because you have so much vitality, which means that if your health is low or you just log in and your health bar isn't full, it very quickly fills up again if you're out of combat because it's vitality. So you get all that out of combat morale regen, so I like that. In this current beta build, The different instances in the game have been obviously scaled to level 115, but the way the scaling has happened has actually made all of the instances extremely challenging. Now this may change before the update goes live, and I feel like it probably should change. Now, I'm very careful with my wording here because obviously it needs more testing and everything, but I have run the daily featured instance, Seed of the Great Goblin, with myself as a runekeeper, then a lore master and the champion. We all had the best gear, we all knew our classes and we knew what we were doing, and I actually had to change to a healing trait line with the champ and the LM doing, DPS, LM combining it with support, the champ combining it with tanking. So it wasn't a very great group makeup, but I had to do so much work to try and keep that lore master alive in the final boss fight, and only then did we complete it at tier 1. If you do a tier 1 daily instance on a live server, pretty much any good character can solo it. Now it's absolutely undoable. You have to have a very good group makeup to even be able to complete that. I've also tried to run Sunken Labyrinth at tier 2. That was just, we just got nowhere. And I have heard from people that Rakothas has been scaled in his health to 76, 78 million health, something like that. I don't know if that was tier 1 or tier 2, but the problem with that is our outgoing DPS hasn't been increased hugely with the Mordor update. It's just increased a bit thanks to the legendary items that can be pushed, legacies can be pushed 10 levels further and all that, and there's the regular level scaling and all that. But other than that, there is not really a big DPS increase. So with mobs having that much health, raiding and instancing could actually become a proper issue, to the point where it's actually broken. And I think it might be broken in this current beta build, but again, I think and hope that there will be some kind of balancing done before this aspect of the beta build would make it to the live server. So this was everything I have found out about the upcoming Mordor expansion that is currently on Bullroarer. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.